First Contact Protocol. The vastness of space held many secrets, but Commander Thelkar of the Vraxian Imperial Fleet believed he had seen them all. In his 400 cycles of service, he had witnessed the subjugation of countless worlds, some that surrendered immediately upon seeing the crimson hulls of Vraxian warships, others that fought with primitive courage before inevitably falling. 847 civilizations had knelt before the Empire. The 48th would be no different. "Commander, we're detecting an anomalous signal," Sub-Commander Vexra announced from her station, her secondary eyes flickering with mild interest. "Sector 7749. The system the indigenous inhabitants call ... Sol." Thelkar's mandibles clicked in amusement. Sol. He had reviewed the intelligence reports on this system during the journey. A young species, barely 3,000 cycles into their recorded history. They had only recently achieved primitive fusion propulsion and had sent laughable probes beyond their home planet's orbit. The Empire's scouts had cataloged them decades ago as low priority. Minimal threat, potential labor force. Sol system, Thelkar mused, his 6 fingers drumming against the command throne's armrest. The humans. What kind of signal? That's the peculiarity, Commander. It's not their typical electromagnetic chatter. This is quantum-encrypted, military-grade. And it's single quotes S. Powerful. Far more sophisticated than anything in their technological profile. Thelkar's confidence wavered for precisely 1 heartbeat before reasserting itself. A malfunction in their equipment, no doubt. Or perhaps they've stumbled upon some derelict technology. It matters not. Helm, set course for Sol. Maximum intimidation approach. Let's show these primitives what happens when they play with toys beyond their comprehension. The fleet of 50 Vraxian warships, each 3 kilometers in length and bristling with weapons that could crack planets, shifted course. Their crimson hulls seemed to drink in the starlight as they accelerated. Their subspace drives, leaving ripples in the fabric of reality itself. It took them 3 standard days to reach the outer edges of the Sol system. Thelkar stood on the bridge, his posture rigid with imperial authority, as Neptune's icy blue sphere appeared on the main view screen. "Deploy intimidation pattern Sevara," he commanded. "Broadcast on all frequencies. Standard First Contact Protocol." The message was simple, translated into the primitive languages of the target species. You are now subjects of the Vraxian Empire. Surrender all military assets. Resistance will result in total annihilation. You have 1 solar rotation to comply. It was a message the Empire had broadcast 847 times before. It had always worked. Vexrar's voice cut through the bridge's confident silence. "Commander, we are receiving a response. Already? They must be eager to..." "Sir, the response isn't coming from Earth. It's coming from ahead of us. Between us and Jupiter." Thelkar's blood chilled. Nothing should be between them and Jupiter. Their sensors had shown the system was clear, except for the primitive satellites orbiting Earth and the laughable research stations on Mars. "Show me." The view screen shifted. At first, Thelkar saw nothing but the distant gleam of Jupiter's storms. Then his optical enhancers adjusted, and his heart nearly stopped. A ship hung in the void before them. But calling it a ship felt inadequate. It was a Leviathan 5 kilometers of midnight black hull that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Its design was angular, aggressive, covered in what appeared to be thousands of weapon ports. Energy readings cascaded across Thelkar's tactical display, showing power signatures that matched or exceeded his own flagship. "Impossible," he whispered. The vessel's hull bore markings in the human language. His translator worked quickly. "VSS Prometheus, United Earth Space Command. Full scan, now." Thelkar barked, his composure shattering, Vixra's fingers flew across her console. Commander, the energy signature. It's utilizing Vraxian quantum core technology. But it's been modified, improved somehow. Their shields are operating at 300% of our standard efficiency. I'm detecting weapon systems based on our plasma accelerators, but the power output is, how did they get our technology? Thelkar's voice rose to a roar. Before Vexra could answer, every tactical display on the bridge turned crimson. Alarms shrieked through the vessel. Weapons lock. The tactical officer screamed. Multiple weapons lock. Sir, that ship has locked targeting solutions on every vessel in our fleet, simultaneously. 50 ships. The human vessel had acquired firing solutions for 50 ships in the span of seconds. Thelkar's military training kicked in, overriding his shock. That level of computational power, that degree of targeting precision, it was beyond even the Empire's most advanced battle computers. A voice emerged from the communications array. It was calm, measured, speaking in flawless Vraxian. Vraxian vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chun of the VSS Prometheus. You have entered the sovereign territory of the United Earth Government without authorization. You are currently targeted by 2,847 weapon systems. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate and overwhelming force. You are instructed to hold position and await further instructions. The bridge fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. Thelkar's mind raced. How? The question hammered through his consciousness. How had this primitive species gone from chemical rockets to quantum core warships? The technological leap was impossible. It would take millennia, even with captured technology. Commander, Vexra said quietly, I'm detecting more signatures. Across the system. The tactical display updated. Thelkar felt his confidence, built over 400 cycles of conquest, crumble to dust. Dozens of signatures. Hundreds. They appeared near Mars. Around Earth's moon, in the asteroid belt, near Jupiter's moons. Each one represented a vessel comparable to the Prometheus. Some were larger. Stealth technology. Vexra breathed. They've been here the entire time. We flew right past them. Captain Chun's voice returned, and this time Thelkar heard something in it that chilled him more than the weapons lock. Patience. The patience of a predator that had been waiting, watching, preparing. I imagine you have questions, Commander Thelkar. Let me answer the most important one. How? The view screen shifted to show a human woman, Captain Chun, presumably. She wore a dark blue uniform with silver insignia. Her eyes were brown, warm even, but held an edge of steel that reminded Thelkar of the Empire's most decorated warriors. 62 years ago, Chun continued, one of your scout probes entered our system. It was damaged, malfunctioning, but functional enough for us to study. You were sloppy, Commander. That probe contained your quantum core specifications, your weapons designs, your fleet coordination protocols. Everything we needed. Behind her, Thelkar could see the bridge of the Prometheus sleek, efficient, crawling with human personnel, working in perfect synchronization. At first, we panicked, Chun admitted. We realized we weren't alone, and that whoever was out there possessed technology centuries beyond ours. We detected your Empire's expansion pattern. We calculated you would reach us within 50 to 70 years. So we did what humanity does best, Commander. We adapted. Chun stepped closer to the camera, her expression hardening. We unified. Every nation, every resource, every brilliant mind on Earth focused on a single goal: survival. We built shipyards on the dark side of our moon. We constructed underwater facilities in our deepest oceans. We hollowed out asteroids and turned them into weapons platforms. We took your technology and we improved it, because while you've spent centuries subjugating others, we've spent centuries fighting ourselves. We know war, Commander Thelkar. It's in our blood, our history, our nightmares. Thelkar found his voice. You cannot stand against the full might of the Vraxian Empire. This fleet is merely a vanguard. When you report what? Chun interrupted. That humanity, the primitive species you deemed low priority, has a fleet that matches your own? That we've been watching your empire's communications for 6 decades? That we know your fleet positions, your military codes, your strategic vulnerabilities? She smiled, and it was not a kind expression. Asterisk, you're not here to conquer us, Commander. You're here to make a choice. The first choice your empire has had to make in a very, very long time. The view screen split. On one side remained Captain Shun. On the other, a tactical display showed the Sol system in its entirety. Every human vessel became visible, their stealth fields dropping simultaneously. The system was a fortress, hundreds of warships, thousands of weapons platforms, all focused inward on the Vraxian fleet. They were trapped. Thelkar's flagship trembled slightly as human vessels moved into tighter formation around them. He realized with horror that the trembling wasn't from his ship's engines. It was from the sheer gravitational displacement of the human fleet's movement. You have 12 hours to make your decision, Commander, Sean said. You can leave peacefully and carry a message to your empire. Or you can test whether your technology is truly superior to what we've built. I promise you, Commander, we are very curious to find out. The transmission ended. Thelkar stood frozen, staring at the tactical display. Around him, his crew waited for orders. Some looked terrified. Others looked to him with the faith that he, in 400 cycles of service, had earned. But for the first time in his long military career, Commander Thelkar of the Vraxian Imperial Fleet had no idea what to do. The humans had been watching, preparing, waiting. And now, everything had changed. Asterisk the reckoning. 12 hours passed like an eternity compressed into heartbeats. Commander Thelkar had not moved from his command throne. His eyes fixed on the tactical display that showed his fleet, the pride of the Vraxian Empire, caged like prey animals. His officers worked in tense silence, running scenario after scenario through their battle computers. Every simulation ended the same way: total annihilation of the Vraxian fleet within 14 minutes of engagement. Commander, Vexra approached cautiously, her voice barely above a whisper. We have confirmation from deep scans. The human vessels, they're not just using our technology. They've merged it with their own innovations. Their power cores are generating 40% more output than ours. Their weapons have a faster cycling rate. And their coordination algorithms. She paused, her mandibles quivering. Sir, their fleet operates as a single entity. Perfect synchronization across hundreds of vessels. We've never seen anything like it. Thelkar's secondary eyes closed in what might have been prayer or despair. In his 400 cycles, he had learned to read battles before they began. This one was already over, and it had never started. How many? He asked quietly. Sir, how many ships do they have? Vexra consulted her display. We've identified 847 capital-class vessels, over 3,000 destroyer-class ships, and approximately 12,000 fighter craft. The numbers keep growing as we penetrate deeper into their stealth networks. The exact number of civilizations the Empire had conquered. Thelkar didn't believe in cosmic coincidence. The view screen activated without warning. Captain Shun appeared again, but this time the view behind her was different. Thelkar's breath caught. The camera panned slowly, showing not just the Prometheus's bridge, but beyond through a massive viewport. It revealed the Earth hanging in the void like a blue-green jewel. And around it, the moon. The moon was splitting open. Massive sections of the lunar surface kilometers wide retracted, like the petals of some vast mechanical flower. Beneath, Felkar saw the impossible. Shipyards that dwarfed anything the Empire had ever constructed. Dozens of vessels, each larger than the Prometheus, sat in various stages of completion. Automated construction drones swarmed like insects, working on hulls that bristled with weapons. The lunar yards, Chun said, her voice carrying the weight of revelation. Construction began 58 years ago. We built them deep, Commander, far below the surface where your scouts couldn't see. Every human nation contributed. We shared technology freely, abandoned our tribal conflicts, united under a single purpose. The view shifted again. This time it showed Earth's Pacific Ocean. The water began to churn, great whirlpools forming across hundreds of kilometers. Then they rose massive vessels, emerging from the depths, like ancient leviathans awakening from slumber. Water cascaded off their hulls in torrents as they climbed toward the sky. These ships were different in design, sleeker, built for aquatic stealth and orbital assault. The Oceanic Fleet, Chun continued. 47 carrier groups, each capable of supporting a full planetary invasion. We built them in the Mariana Trench, in waters so deep your sensors couldn't penetrate. We tested them in pressure environments that would crush your vessels like paper. Felkar wanted to look away, but he couldn't. His empire, his perfect empire that had crushed 847 civilizations, was being systematically dismantled, not by weapons, but by the simple revelation of human preparation. The view changed once more, showing the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. As Felkar watched, hundreds of asteroids began to move. Not drifting, moving with purpose, with coordination. Their surfaces opened, revealing weapons batteries that could reduce planets to rubble. The belt fortifications, Chun said. We learned from your own strategies, Commander. Hide your weapons in plain sight. Make them look like natural phenomena. Every asteroid larger than 5 kilometers in this belt has been hollowed out and converted into a weapons platform. Some are kinetic bombardment systems. Others house quantum disruption arrays that can tear holes in subspace itself. Vexra made a sound a clicking whimper that Felkar had never heard from his stoic sub-commander. On the tactical display, the true scope of humanity's defensive network became clear. The Sol system wasn't just defended. It was a trap that had been 60 years in the making. Captain Chun's image filled the screen again. She stood now, her hands clasped behind her back in a posture that was almost Vraxian in its military bearing. Commander Felkar, I want you to understand something crucial. We didn't build this fleet because we wanted war. We built it because we wanted peace. But we learned from studying your empire's history, peace through strength is the only peace predators respect. She walked closer to the camera, and Felkar could see the human emotion in her eyes. Not hatred, not triumph. Something more complex, sadness mixed with determination. For 62 years, we've watched your empire expand. We've monitored your communications, cracked your encryption, mapped your territory. We know about the subjugated worlds, Commander. The species you've enslaved. The cultures you've erased. The children torn from their families to serve as labor. We know all of it. Chun's voice hardened. We also know that your empire has never faced a species that could match your military might. You've grown complacent, arrogant. You believe yourselves invincible because you've never been challenged. Until now. Felkar finally found his voice, though it came out as a rasp. What do you want? The same thing every species wants, Commander. To be left alone. To grow. To explore. To exist without the threat of annihilation hanging over us. We're offering you a choice, the first real choice your empire has faced in 600 years. The tactical display updated once more. Now it showed not just the Sol system, but the surrounding sectors. Felkar's blood froze as he saw dozens of new signatures, human vessels, already positioned along the Empire's supply lines, near key shipyards, around communication relays. How? Thelkar breathed. We've been out here for 20 years, Commander, Chun said quietly. Small scout vessels, using advanced stealth technology that makes even our capital ships invisible. We've been watching, learning, positioning. Did you think we would build a fleet this size and not know how to use it strategically? She pulled up a holographic star map between them, showing the Vraxian Empire's territory in crimson. Small blue points human vessels dotted the map like stars in their own right. Asterisk, we don't want war. Commander Thelkar. But if you force us to fight, it won't just be here. It will be everywhere. Simultaneously. We'll hit every major installation in your empire at once. Your quantum communications give us real-time intelligence on all your fleet movements. Your own technology has betrayed you. Thelkar felt something he had never experienced in 400 cycles of military service. Genuine fear. Not for himself, he had faced death before, but for the Empire itself. The vast, indomitable Vraxian Empire that had stood for 600 years was suddenly impossibly vulnerable. What are your terms? He asked, his voice barely functional. Sean's expression softened slightly. Leave, take your fleet and go. Return to your empire and deliver this message. Earth is off limits. Sol system is sovereign territory. Any Vraxian vessel that enters without authorization will be destroyed without warning or mercy. She paused, then added, and tell them this, Commander. Tell them that if we detect any movement toward our system, any buildup of forces, any indication that you're preparing for war, we won't wait. We'll strike first. We'll hit every major world in your empire simultaneously. We have the ships. We have the positioning. And unlike you, we know what it means to fight for survival rather than conquest. Thelkar's mind raced through his options. He could fight. His honor demanded it. But honor meant nothing to the dead, and his crew, his fleet, deserved better than a pointless sacrifice. There is no honor in this, he said finally, his voice carrying the weight of 400 cycles of military tradition crumbling beneath him. No, Chun agreed. There isn't. But there is survival. There is wisdom. There is the chance to take a message back to your empire that might make them reconsider their path. She leaned forward, and when she spoke again, her voice carried genuine hope mixed with steel. You've conquered 847 civilizations, Commander, but you've never faced one that had time to prepare, that had warning, that could match your technology and exceed your determination. We're not asking to join your empire. We're not asking for peace talks or treaties. We're stating a fact. If you come for Earth, you'll face a war that will end your empire. Not because we're better warriors, but because we're more desperate. We have nowhere to retreat to. This is our only home, and we will defend it with everything we have. The transmission paused, and Captain Shin's image was replaced by a single view, the human fleet. Hundreds of vessels in perfect formation, backlit by the sun. It was beautiful and terrible, a monument to human ingenuity, fear, and determination. Chun's voice returned, softer now. Go home, Commander. Tell them what you've seen. Tell them that humanity bows to no one. And tell them that we'll be watching. The transmission ended. Silence filled the bridge. Thelkar looked at his crew, good soldiers, loyal to the Empire, trained to conquer or die. They looked back at him, waiting for orders that would determine not just their fate, but perhaps the fate of the entire Vraxian Empire. Vexra approached, her voice carefully neutral. Orders, Commander? Thelkar stood slowly, his joints aching with a weariness that had nothing to do with age. He looked at the tactical display one final time, at the trap his fleet had flown into. At the 847 human capital ships that mirrored the 847 civilizations his empire had destroyed. "Navigation," he said quietly. "Set course for home. Maximum speed. All vessels." "Sir?" Vexra's surprise was evident. "We're leaving, Sub-Commander. The Empire needs to know what we've found here." As his orders transmitted across the fleet, Thelkar felt the ship begin to turn. On the view screen, he watched as the human vessels moved aside, creating a corridor leading out of the Sol system. They didn't pursue. They didn't taunt. They simply watched. It took 6 hours for the Vraxian fleet to reach the edge of the system. As they prepared to engage subspace drives, a final transmission came through. "Commander Thelkar." It was Captain Shun again. "Thank you for choosing wisdom over pride. Safe travels. And remember, we're always watching." The Vraxian fleet jumped to subspace, leaving Sol system behind. Thelkar remained on the bridge as stars blurred past, his mind processing what had just occurred. The Empire's first treat in 600 years. The discovery of a species that had turned their own technology against them. The revelation that the galaxy contained prey that could become predators, even time and motivation. "Sir," Vexra said carefully, "what will you tell the High Command?" Thelkar considered this. He could lie, claim technical difficulties, request reinforcements for a second assault. But that would doom his people to a war they couldn't win. "The truth," he said finally. "I'll tell them we found something unprecedented. A species that had time to prepare. A species that chose unity over division, survival over surrender. I'll tell them." He paused, the words difficult but necessary. "I'll tell them we found equals." 3 weeks later, Galactic Council Chambers. Neutral space, the emergency session of the Galactic Council, convened with representatives from 47 civilizations, every major power in the known galaxy, except the Vraxian Empire, who had declined attendance. The holographic display showed Commander Thelkar's official report, transmitted directly to the Council by a source within the Vraxian military. As the images played, the human fleet, the lunar shipyards, the oceanic carriers, the asteroid fortifications, the council chambers filled with stunned silence. Ambassador Krell of the Thalassian Confederation spoke first, his voice shaking. "We were told the humans were primitive, that they had barely achieved interstellar travel." "They were," responded Counselor Mara of the Ascension Collective, 62 years ago. "But it seems they are remarkably adaptive." The display shifted to show a new transmission 1 sent by the United Earth government to every major civilization in the galaxy simultaneously. Captain Sarah Chun appeared, but she wore different insignia now. "Admiral Chun, greetings to the civilizations of the Galactic Council," she began. "Humanity formally announces its presence as a spacefaring species. We come not as conquerors, but as equals. We seek peaceful relations, trade, cultural exchange, and mutual defense." She paused, her expression firm. "However, let this serve as a declaration to any who would threaten us. Earth will not bow. Sol system will not fall. We have spent 6 decades preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. We are ready for peace, but we are equally ready for war." Behind her, a map appeared showing not just Sol system, but dozens of other nearby systems. Human colony ships, already en route. "Humanity is expanding," Chun continued. "We will claim unclaimed systems, terraform lifeless worlds, build our civilization among the stars. We will respect existing territorial claims. We will honor the laws of civilized species. But we will never, ever submit." The transmission ended with a final image. The human flag, a blue planet wrapped in olive branches, surrounded by stars, and a simple message in multiple languages. "We are humanity. We are ready. We are watching." Epilogue. 6 months later, VSS Prometheus, Sol System Admiral Sarah Chun, stood on the observation deck of the Prometheus, looking out at Earth, hanging serene in the void. Behind her, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Webb approached with a datapad. "Admiral, we're receiving communications from 17 different civilizations requesting diplomatic relations. 5 are asking about our defensive technology, and ... He hesitated. 3 are asking for military assistance against the Vraxian Empire. Chun smiled slightly. The oppressed are finding their voice. What do we do? Chun turned to face him, her expression thoughtful. We do what humans have always done, Marcus. We help those who can't help themselves. We share our technology with those who will use it for defense, not conquest. We build alliances based on mutual respect, not fear. She looked back at Earth, at the planet that had unified in the face of extinction, that had achieved the impossible through cooperation and determination. For 62 years, we prepared for war, Chun said quietly. Now it's time to prepare for something harder. Peace. Real peace. Not the peace of submission, but the peace of equals standing together against tyranny. Webb nodded. And the Vraxians? We keep watching. Always watching. They'll test us eventually, empires always do. But when they come, they'll find not just Earth ready to fight, but dozens of worlds standing with us. The galaxy is changing, Marcus. And for the first time in 600 years, it's changing away from empire and toward something better. She pressed her hand against the viewport, as if she could touch the blue planet below. Our children won't live in fear, she said. That's what we built this fleet for. Not conquest. Not glory. Just the simple right to exist, to grow, to reach for the stars without permission from those who believe themselves are betters. Far below, on Earth, life continued. People worked, loved, dreamed, completely unaware that above them, their species had just announced itself to the galaxy with a single, undeniable message. Humanity bows to no one. And across the stars, on 1,000 worlds in chains, other species heard that message and dared, for the first time in centuries, to hope. Asterisk.